Here we've got a 2009, 2012 Toyota Rav4 headlight assembly. This is a brand new OEM assembly. These are actually made by Vallejo, and they do use what's called a permanent sealant, cold glue sealant. So there is a little bit more effort involved in retrofitting this, opening this up, a little bit more labor time. So it does cost a little bit more. However, we'll be converting it to a projector setup. We'll show you the process of kind of how this gets done and the comparisons between the original and the aftermarket setup that we placed in here. But this is going to be a kind of like an OEM plus retrofit. Customers having us install some Denso ballasts, Phillips bulbs, I believe the G5-BRT by Bixenon. We'll show you how this all looks. This is the before, and we'll show you in a little bit on how the projector performs against the reflector, so you can get a good idea of what to expect if you were to go through us and have us retrofit in a new set of projectors. So on the driver's side assembly, again, factory halogen bulb, reflector setup that's unmodified. That is how it looks. And on the passenger side, we've got the retrofitted projector. It sits inside the original reflector, and then we have a projector shroud. That's that covering that you can see on the front of that projector. And we'll show you the output. We'll do a quick beam comparison and also measure the light intensity. Okay, obviously factory halogen up top. It's quite sharp. It's a pretty good reflector. Camera's picking up a little bit of light bleed above the cutoff, but it's actually really solid overall. For a halogen, in terms of just the additional light scatter and bleed, it's fairly directed quite well. Intensity we'll measure in just a moment. We're just comparing the beam pattern. You can see the Bixenon projector just has a lot better width, especially if you just use the wall as a quick gauge of light to the sides. Obviously, you know, the warehouse is only so wide, and I can't show you a full width comparison. We are 25 feet from the wall, so we can analyze the beam pattern and the intensity zone and how everything is distributed essentially. So with the projector, it's nice and crisp. There's no light above the cutoff, like there would be with a brighter light source in the reflector. So you'll have better directed light, and it'll go down the road much further. And of course, wider and more usable light to the sides. Again, hard to show you, but that light will illuminate the road much better when it comes to driving at night. Okay, so this is just the halogen. Camera picks it up differently since it's only working with this one light source. Looks really bright. I've got a lux meter in my hand. That'll measure the lux at 25 feet. So we're measuring the intensity, and it is quite bright. I think I saw about, yeah, see where it's brightest is a little bit lower than the cutoff, and it was mid 400s, I believe, which is pretty solid overall peak intensity. Again, as we know, peak intensity is not everything, and it shouldn't be what we use as a standard, but we did see that it had a much larger intensity zone as far as the HID system and the HID projector, and we'll check the brightness of that next, the intensity. But it is important that you can tell the difference of how the light is being distributed. And this is much lower in that sense, and they have to make it that way, so that way you're not blinding everybody, because again, there is a little bit of light scatter above that intensity zone, so they get aimed a little bit more conservatively. Okay, now that this is on its own, it also looks a lot different when you're analyzing just the beam pattern sort of on its own. The intensity zone is a lot larger, as you can tell. It actually almost spans about 3/4 of the wall. We're at 25 feet, and this is about 19 feet wide, but you can see it's much wider. The camera is picking up that intensity zone. Obviously, it redirects and adjusts, but this allows you to fine-tune the lights really nicely. There is no light above the cutoff. These are extreme visions, and we were hitting about what I see, about 850, so quite a bit brighter. The main difference is that you'll be able to get these dialed in, and the intensity zone is right where you want it. It's pretty much right at that cutoff, because once the shield flips down for high beam use, it lets out all the rest of the light that is available from that projector. So you have low and high beam function out of this single projector, which also aids to your factory halogen high beam. So it'll work in conjunction with that. give you really good intensity. So we're seeing a big boost in lighting intensity, but also light distribution. And there's absolutely no light above this cutoff, which makes it easier for you to dial in, essentially, and without disturbing oncoming traffic. And that about wraps up this video. We made this presentation, this overview. We'll show the final product, but this is what you can expect from the differences between the two systems. We'll show you the finished product with the housing and lens installed. Definitely curious to hear what you guys think, because aside from looking good, we want our lights to perform good, and we want to make sure that you get a true upgrade. And in order for you to do that, a lot of times Projector Retrofit's really the main way to go, because the aftermarket assemblies just aren't that great. They're more for show and less go in terms of lighting performance.